What's up, everybody? Hello, welcome to episode 280 of the VK Bros with Jason and Alex Von Cannell. Big show this week, guys. We've obviously had the social media ban come into place, so we're going to be launching into that. We've got all the politicians, the champagne socialists, as we'll refer to them, living it up off your taxpayer dime.
That, I'm going to defend them. I'm going to defend them. So wait till we get to that. I'll defend political spending.
Yeah, right. You look exactly like the sort of person who would defend this. And look, much more, as always, on this week's show. I just want to say a special shout-out to the audience for this week. We had a massive uptick on views on YouTube this week, just out of nowhere. Had a dislike as well. It's the first dislike we've had in a while. So, to the lady who I'm assuming disliked the video from last week, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. And just feel free to come back every week and dislike the video if you want. We'd love to have you.
You've just proved our point even more. You felt like it was a personal attack on you. It wasn't. You got nothing else out of it, but your overarching feeling, that was enough to give us the down arrow.
And if you would like to clarify, please leave your comments below each video. But look, shout out to the audience. We had a really strong viewership over all platforms from last week. So thanks.
Do you think it was because I posted on my Instagram an ad that said, "We say derogatory things about women. You should watch it and get mad"?
I have a feeling that's where the dislike came from. It was probably our mum.
Yeah. Can I just want to... So, I bought this white t-shirt, right? It's summer. I only wear black. I wear black t-shirts are my favorite, my go-to.
Yep. As a former fat boy, makes sense.
And I bought a white t-shirt, just plain. I don't like wearing other people's brands. I only like wearing my own brands. And I thought it was a great idea. I wore it to the Tool concert because I also wanted to be different. I knew everyone else was going to be in black. There's going to be a lot of goth representation. God bless. Love goths. Shout out to goths. Can we shout out to goths?
Yeah, we can shout out to goths. Hey, goths, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Share, comment.
We love it. We did joke about how some of these girls were, after the Sunday concert, Monday, they're going to, their corporate jobs dressed in, I love it. I love that social abstract construct that's been built for them as a way to express themselves. Mm-hmm. I love it. I'm a huge fan. So I wore this white shirt just knowing that I was going to be different. You see it? Freaking stain on the first time. Shirt's ruined.
Is that black shirts? Stain?
Black shirts you don't have. It might have been Dagwood Dog. Black shirts. You don't have this problem. What a shit investment.
Yeah, I bought a mixed packet of t-shirts a little while ago, and as I've got two young children who just spill shit everywhere, who jump on you all the time, who sometimes thinks it's funny when they are sick to wipe their boogers on your shirt, I've worn the white shirt once. I'm too scared to wear it.
Yeah. You just hang it, frame it.
Yeah, framing it's probably the best idea. Alright, look, let's crack straight into the show. It's been a big week. Been a big week on the work front for me too, so I have been absolutely flat out, but just trying to keep an eye on things, obviously, as we do. And let's start out with the social media ban. So the social media ban came into effect for children under 16 on Wednesday. The Albanese government thought that it was such an achievement that they lit up the Sydney Opera House in green and gold to celebrate the monumentous achievement of banning children from social media.
Problem is, no one saw it because
yeah. I just want to get your opinion on this first, if you can start us off. It's Friday now. We're recording this Friday morning. It's been a day and a half since the ban came into place. What are the first things that you've noticed since the ban has come to fruition?
It's already pissed me off because I am a frequent social media user. And I assumed I wouldn't be affected by it because I assumed incorrectly. Well, sorry, I didn't assume at all because I knew it was going to fuck me somehow because it's the government that did it. But one of my channels on Discord that is part of my tech project team has been restricted and asked for my ID.
Mad.
Now, Discord is owned by Microsoft, who I've had various dealings with Microsoft, got accounts with Microsoft. They couldn't just check the fact that, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I've had my Discord channel for probably 8 or 9 years. You know, like so that off the rip pissed me off. It also, speaking to people about it, I think everyone agrees that kids are probably not doing well because of social media. I think everyone kind of agrees with that. But everyone was critical of, like, why YouTube was affected by it when, like, even a joke was made in the auction box. We said there was a car that needed some fixing, and the auctioneer says, just look it up on YouTube. Oh, like, well, you still can.
Yeah.
You know, like little, you know, how many times have I fixed things by using YouTube as an encyclopedia? It's hugely powerful.
Absolutely.
And it's already got the infrastructure built in to protect kids already.
Yep.
And yet here it is, we're going to come and double down, and we're going to, like, it's not going to do what they say it's going to do. Did you see the young girl that was interviewed?
Well, that's part of...
oh, you've got it here.
That's one of the resources that I've got, yeah. So we'll get to that in a second. I just want to say something briefly as well. Your point on YouTube, I think, is a really important one. I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but just to clarify, one of the biggest problems that I have with this whole thing is, look, all the obvious censorship implications aside, and that's the censorship is something that we are uniquely placed, and I get reminded every now and then about how uniquely placed we are in regards to the censorship, and this is something that maybe I'll just delve into briefly now. I was having a conversation with a fellow kindy father the other day, and a whole range of subjects came up, including COVID and a whole bunch of different things, and it was prompted by this gentleman. And one of the things that I found really interesting was we were basically on board and on the same page with all of the different matters that he was discussing: COVID, the vaccines, climate change, politics in general, etc., etc., etc. The massive blind spot that he had was the censorship, the online censorship that occurred during the pandemic. And this is something that Alex and I we are so well versed in because it happened to us. But the reality is, the vast majority of people didn't experience it in any sort of meaningful form during that period of time. They didn't realize when they were putting comments up that were being shadow banned that the comments were being shadow banned. They just thought they were getting no interactions. They didn't, like, you can't see what you can't see. They didn't know the information that they were unable to see because of the censorship apparatus. And funnily enough, I just had another example of this morning. I tried to post, we've covered on the show before, a gentleman named Billboard Chris Elston, I think is his name, who is an anti-trans, I wouldn't say anti-trans activist, I would say anti-gender affirming care on children activist. And he just spoke in front of the UN Assembly. And he put a reel up on his Instagram page of him talking about how all of these studies that have actually been done now have shown, there is not a single study that shows that gender affirming care has any sort of positive benefit to these children's mental health. And there's all these other studies that show that the vast majority of these kids who this happens to have some form of neural divergence, and it's not just one. On average, it's up to 5, and it's things like autism, for example. Apparently, more than 50% of kids who have gender dysphoria and go through gender-affirming care have moderate to severe autism, and it's a whole range of other different things. And anyway, obviously, as someone who's very passionate about this subject as well, I went to share it on our Instagram twice. And both times, there was an upload error. And this is the first time I've experienced this, really, since the pandemic. And it's interesting how it's this guy on that subject. Because you have to remember, there was Chris Elston that actually sued the e-safety commissioner and beat her in court. So to
be fair, everyone's beaten her in court.
Well, everyone who has or who she has sued has beaten her in court as well.
Yeah.
So he sued her because he put a post up that she tried to block globally because he was pointing out to the fact that there was a trans activist from Australia who was actually on the board at the World Health Organization who was helping draft transgender policy. And this person wasn't a doctor, they were an activist. So he was trying to bring people's attention to that. She issued all these takedown notices to people, to like Meta and X and all of the different social media platforms to remove that post, and was trying to remove it internationally, which obviously she has no jurisdiction over. So he already has a history with her. He sued, he won in court, the post was allowed to stand, and now, in 2025, he's still getting blocked on social media from certain pages. I know that our pages probably have these little, not red marks, but maybe a grey mark against it, going, hey, this account consistently posts this certain type of content. But this is the first time in a long time where I've actively had something blocked from posting in my stories.
I could probably prove it right now. So if I go to YouTube, share my screen. I'm just making sure there's nothing incriminating on my feed.
His YouTube search history just says, where dem kids at? Ever since Wednesday came into effect.
No, it's got government, it's got
where
tool, it's got Lee Kuan Yew, who I want to do a bit of research into.
Yep. It's a very 40-year-old man search history right there.
So if I search our show name, the VK Bros. Okay. The top thing is, did you mean the CG Bros?
Yep.
Okay. Even though in the feed here, it's got everything here, right? Now, if I click the playlist, that's not what I wanted it to do. If I go to our page, okay, they've kind of fixed it. So if you do this from your phone, it sorts everything upside down. Whereas then if I go to, and I'm not comparing us to this podcast, but let's go to the Joe Rogan Experience. It gives you his page at the top.
Yep.
And then 9 hours ago, 6 days ago, or pretty much in order.
Yep.
Like that, theirs is laid out. Now our structure is the same. It's episode, it's name, episode number.
Yep.
But for some reason, ours, and especially on mobile, doesn't appear like other people's appears.
Yeah.
And the algorithm tries to send you away. What is the CG, bro?
And just on that note, like, it doesn't sound like that's a big deal, but when you have a podcast that drops weekly about topical subjects, if you search for that podcast and the first thing that comes up is old, and you start watching it, you'd be like, this stuff's not relevant, and then you won't even bother trying to find the latest episode or something like that. There's so much content out there. That sort of stuff does make a difference. But getting back to the social media ban, obviously, one of my main concerns out of this is I've had some conversations during the week with women, and sorry women and ladies, I don't want to get straight into criticizing again, but one of the themes that kept coming out of these conversations was, well, we know social media is harming children, so we have to do something. And that sentiment, I think, comes from, again, that misplaced maternal instinct I spoke about last week of, we have a problem, we just have to try something. Now, the issue that
I don't think that's a feminine trait. I don't think that's because I can tell you, I've had 100 conversations with men who said the exact same thing. Doing something is better than nothing. Okay. I've heard that, yeah, so I don't think that's a feminine trait.
Okay, no, fair enough. Well, I've just mainly heard it from women this week, so it's good to get your anecdotal experience as well. So let's say that it's not a trait that is just from females, but I'm still going to call it a feminine trait because I think it's really gay.
Okay.
Here's my thing. We gave the government the benefit of the doubt during COVID to just try something. Every single thing the government did during COVID...
We didn't.
Yeah, no, we didn't. But we as a society, at large, in Australia, gave the government the benefit of the doubt that there was this pandemic, that it kicked off, and we just need to do something. And they did a whole range of things. And as we've covered on the show ad nauseum, if you did the opposite of everything the government told you to do during that time, you would have had far better outcomes.
Yeah, and here's Super Saiyan.
And here's one of the things that I'm going to repeat again. Right at the end, towards the end of 2020, when we really first started talking about a lot of this COVID stuff, and we started experiencing the censorship, that's when it kicked off. I made the comment, and I was heavily criticised. It was probably the most comments we got on any episode ever. I made a comment about how COVID was being used to essentially cause the largest wealth transfer from the poor and middle class to the rich in history. And I was heavily criticised for saying that.
I think I criticised you at the time.
Quite possibly, yeah.
I agreed with the big pharma stuff, and I think at the time, I don't think the money printing had really kicked off then. It's turned out to be true.
Yeah, because the lockdowns didn't really occur until 2021.
Yeah.
So, in Australia anyway, they were occurring elsewhere in the world, but because COVID didn't hit until later in Australia, we were a little bit behind what everyone else was doing, which was why it was so easy for us to see data from other countries who had already started earlier than us, right? That's what we were following. So, I said at the time, greatest wealth transfer from the poor and middle class to the rich in history. And in 5 years' time, because it's now the end of 2025, so that was 2020, end of 2020 we was talking about that stuff, what's happened? The poor and middle class have been absolutely wrecked in this country, and most Western nations all around the world. Asset prices have literally doubled in the last 5 years. Like, the price of housing has essentially doubled in the last 5 years. So all the rich people who owned the houses, they have doubled their wealth in that period of time. And that's the boomer class. So remember, with COVID, it financially fucked the young people, and it financially was a massive boon to the older people who've had a longer period of time to accumulate wealth in their lifetime. Yeah. Right? COVID was essentially a giant gift to the boomer class, the rich boomer class. We did everything to keep them safe. We put young people in danger to keep them safe. We've destroyed young people's futures, and we've made them rich at the same time. That's what happened last time we gave the government the benefit of the doubt to just do something. So I would hope that this time around, about something as significant as online censorship, which is what this really is, I would hope that people would be more loath to just give the government the benefit of the doubt. Now, have you heard the story about where the social media ban policy came from?
Whipper?
Yeah. Do you want to explain the story?
I don't have the full story, but it was Whipper was a DJ, radio.
He's
DJ,
a radio host, yeah.
Who looks like he's sort of joined forces with essentially a tech startup to push, and he's been lobbying the government to do this.
Yeah. And
that's why they're flying around to celebrate it. It's a sponsored. He's raised all this money from these companies to push this policy through.
Yeah. So just to clarify it a little bit for people. So Whipper, who is I can't remember his real name, but radio personality, you're right, partnered up with this tech bro to create this company that was originally a not-for-profit. It was called 36 Months. And the whole point of it, the 36 months thing, is to delay kids from being able to get on social media at 13 to 16. And the way that they marketed this, and this is why I leaned more towards this being a feminine problem, and I'm going to include feminine men in that problem as well, is we've done the exact same playbook as COVID. We've used the most powerful tool that you can, which is children who kill themselves, as we've used that as the linchpin of the marketing for this program. So Whipper had on his radio show parents of children who have unfortunately committed suicide because of online bullying or things that have happened to them on social media. There's a lot of information out there about blackmail scams, where essentially scammers pose as women, for example, who share DMs with these young boys. They trade nudes, and then they go, hey, we're not actually the girl that you think you're talking to. We've got these nudes. If you don't send us money, Bitcoin, etc., we're going to post them online. And unfortunately, some young people have been caught up in these scams, and they've actually killed themselves because of it. So I do not pretend for a second that social media is all good for children. The problem is, Whipper was interviewing these parents on his radio show because it's the most powerful marketing tool you can use. Won't somebody think of the children?
Yeah.
in the time since then, because this is, again, such a popular thing for Albo to latch onto, because you've got to remember, the vast majority of Albanese's voter base are women and minorities. That's the vast majority.
Yeah.
And women do have this innate sense, this maternal instinct, to protect the children. So it's the easiest thing to market to them in this fashion ever.
Weaponized empathy.
Now, since then, this 36 months has gone from being a not-for-profit to a for-profit entity. And like you were saying, when earlier this year, Albo, the communications minister Annika Wells, who we'll get into a little bit later on, flew over to the United States to spruik this, world-leading social media ban, accompanied by Wipra and his business partner, who then sold advertising to companies like Nestle, and there was something else as well.
Medibank?
Yeah, maybe Medibank. So on all the banners and stuff behind them, they had paid advertising for this now for-profit company. And to make matters even better, what this company now is looking at doing is literally coming up with new, whether it's activities or platforms that will fill the void that they have created with this policy. And in other words, it's become a money play to now pick up these kids in that 3-year period who would have been on social media and bring them to give them their eyeballs instead.
It's no different to this TikTok takeover in America, where they said, China's a threat to us, so we're going to force the hand of TikTok's parent company, which I think is Tencent, to sell their US stuff off to Larry Ellison.
Yep.
It's commercial espionage.
Yeah.
So what they've done is, and I didn't know that this Whipper stuff, I didn't know it was a thing, but I always thought, to me, it seemed like a big tech shakedown. That's why the fines were so egregious. We'll fine you $150 million if you don't do this arbitrary thing that we've just decided we want to do, and there's no data backing it.
Yep.
$150 million. And then they get to go and say, we're going to hold these people to account. And when we do, we'll get paid handsomely, right? So I always thought it was like a tech shakedown. Now I realise this was a weaponized, and this is the trait. This is one of the modals that we were talking about last week, where the corruption of our government, of our political system, not Labor in particular, the political system, a company has essentially used the government to create a business for themselves.
Yep.
So they've brought this enforcement in, okay, which at a social cost to us, we've all had to pay for this, whatever we're putting together here, all this infrastructure. I mean, we'll talk about Annika Wells soon. Even just paying for the flights to go over there to talk about this thing has cost us money.
But it's not
so
even
that
it's not even
a
the dollar
private
value.
A private company can go and hoover up the vacuum.
Correct. And it's not even the dollar value of what it's cost us. It has cost us our liberties. As Alex just said, he now has to send his private data to Discord to unlock... Sorry?
I haven't done it.
Yeah, well, if you want to unlock that thing, that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
And this is the imposition that they have now put us on. And we all know it ain't going to stop at 16. So look at how they've advertised every other program. Like climate change is the best example.
Well, what comes in on the 26th?
Well, yeah, they're saying that you're going to have to put your ID in to even do Google search.
Yeah.
Because they'd want to make sure that young people aren't searching for the wrong things on the internet. So
I hope everyone notices that we use... So this chat thing that we use is called Brave.
Yep.
And we recommend that everyone downloads Brave. The
Yep.
Brave browser is what we both use. It is very good. It performs very well. It has freedom in mind.
Yep.
You will do yourself a service if you start utilizing it.
Yeah,
especially after the 26th.
Exactly. And the problem about... So like I was saying before, like how the government markets climate change is the exact same way. They create a apparently independent body to come up with reports which then support government policy. But these so-called independent bodies are almost completely funded by government anyway. So it's the government just paying this independent body, so they've got this arm's-length salesperson to say, here's a piece of paper that says that what we want to do is correct. And they're going to do the exact same thing with this. So have no doubt they're going to be talking in the next 6 to 12 months about the success of this program. And look at these numbers that we've created from this independent body. Look at these numbers that show that all of these positive things has happened. You know what? We think maybe 16 is probably still too young. Let's push it to 18. And at the end of the day, all of this is backed by traditional mainstream media. Because at the end of the day, they want to fill the vacuum as well. They know traditional media has lost control of the next generation. The majority of people who still watch mainstream media and believe it are the boomers who are dying off. The next generation coming through has completely opted out of the mainstream media ecosystem. To me, this is a blatant attempt to redirect young eyes back towards the control systems of the past.
And it just won't work. And like, can we
bring up that elbow clip because
because
this is very interesting too. I don't want you to start with the video. I want you to start with his post. So this is an example.
Where's the post?
The post is on the right-hand side. If you can click it, where it says "already had profound effect." So this is a post that Albanese posted on X about this ban. So it says at the top, parents, teachers and students are backing in our social media ban for under 16s because they know how important it is to give kids more time to just be kids without algorithms, endless feeds and online harm. This is about giving children a safer childhood and parents more peace of mind. And look in the image, it's Albo smiling along with a schoolgirl and a lady there. Now I want you to go and play the video. And this is...
No, can you read the fact check?
Okay, so the fact check beneath it, which is one of the greatest parts of X, is the fact they've got community notes. The fact check literally says, the girl in his photo is not backing it. She directly told the PM it's a bad idea. And there's video...
So would you argue that this is, like, fake news?
This is misinformation. It is blatant misinformation. Now bring up the video and we'll show you.
It's a bad idea because we're going to find alternates anyways.
Yeah, well, that'll get found out too.
No you won't. You guys don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, you don't have a fucking clue. It took you $96 million to build a bomb website that didn't work.
this girl, she's a student, and she's probably already figured out how she's going to get by it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if...
And you know with how many resources? 0.
Yeah, 0. So just, again, play the clip again.
It's a bad idea because we're going to find alternates anyways.
Yeah, well, that'll get found out too.
So I don't know how much more I can reiterate this. This is the government that keeps coming out talking about the dangers of mis and disinformation. And he's posted misinformation saying that these students are backing his policy when there is video evidence showing this girl saying the truth, which is it's a bad idea and we're going to find ways around it anyway.
Props to this girl, man. Like to be a schoolgirl talking to the Prime Minister of Australia and going, nah, dude, that policy sucks.
Yeah. Massive props to her. And have you seen? I don't know if you've seen.
I just wanted to check because I didn't want to get shown that we were like that image was doctored. So I went to Albo's. Who's this guy? Does he have an Indian son?
Oh, I don't know. Probably.
So this is his official X account.
Yep.
And here it is.
Can you go to the comments on it? Because something else that's been quite funny out of this is there's been a massive spate of young people literally commenting on all of his social media stuff, going, didn't work, still here, blood. Like, just giving him shit.
You're a liar and a con artist. Was on now. Liar, pants on fire. Bodied by community notes, worst PM. No one is backing your retarded policy and Karen should be sacked. Like the time in the 20s when alcohol was banned in the US, they thought it was a good idea, kept everyone safe, right? Get wrecked, lol.
Yeah. So no, like, and here's the thing, guys. So Alex and I, we are from a very, very special generation. We're the generation who grew up pre and post-internet. And when the internet is the most powerful thing that the human race has ever built. Ever. The most powerful tool. And I can tell you right now, when we were young people and the internet came into being, our parents had no fucking clue what was happening. They had no idea.
Yeah.
And the internet used to be the Wild West. It literally was the information superhighway. And yeah, we saw some stuff on the internet back in the day when we were children that perhaps we shouldn't have seen. But
Still here.
we're still here. And here's the thing. We are uniquely placed in this regard as well, because we remember the internet pre-censorship. We remember, so even and this is the stuff that people don't understand, and they really need to, and this is particularly young people need to understand this as well. The internet is more than just social media. A lot of people think that the internet is literally Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all these different platforms. It is way more than that. Back in the good old days, you actually needed to know what a website was, so you could type in the entire URL to find something.
Let me explain. Okay.
I just want to get one thing out.
Well, this framework, and then you can add it on the end. So the first iteration of the internet was read only. So we call that Web 1. Web 1 was there was a place where a website was built, and if you knew where you were going to go, you could go to that website and you could consume the content that's on the website.
Yeah.
The next form was Web 2. Web 2 is social media, where people could start doing social media blogs. Now, anyone that had access to the internet could also add things to the internet, whereas in the Web 1 days, no one really did that. It was really for companies or real smart nerds, whatever.
Yep.
Web 3 is the next iteration, which I'm working on, which is really based in crypto, and the idea being to be able to help solidify truth within an ecosphere. And the way to do it is to essentially microtransact all facets of that information,
yeah,
so that the bullshit loses financially.
Yeah.
Right? That's... and the other thing I will say, where we've been lucky, because of the way that we were raised, when we grew up in the internet, it was all outbound, in that we had to go searching for what we wanted to search for.
Yeah.
Now, with social media, it's primarily inbound,
Yeah.
in that things outside of your control are getting pushed to you.
Yeah, because the internet never used to have algorithms.
No.
And it used to be as simple as, like, and this is one thing I was going to get into. Most people, especially young people, don't even realize that your, even Google searches are deliberately manipulated to give you certain results and to hide things from you. And that came in many forms as well. So, like, the original forms of search was literally, you would go on and you would type in your search. And
This is AOL
American Online, Yahoo, Ask Jeeves. These are all the original ones. Yep, this is how old we are. The greys are really coming out of the beard today. But you would go on, you would search for these things, and based on the keywords in your search, it would show you the web pages which most closely linked to your keywords. And there are even things that you could do, like I think if you put either quotations or brackets around certain things, then it would search for that exact phrase, stuff like that. And then the next iteration came out, which is what Google really pioneered and why they essentially monopolized search, which was AdWords. So they went out to businesses and said, hey, if you buy certain words from us, whenever anyone types those words in, your business will show up first. And that was the first manipulation of search and how they monetized search. Because prior to that, like, search was there, it worked, but then you'd have ads all down the side of every web page that you went on.
It looked ugly.
Right? Yeah, it looked very ugly. So that's when they first started manipulating search. And then they obviously realized how powerful a tool that actually is. And now, like, the current iterations are literally these giant centralized companies like Google, Alphabet, Amazon, YouTube, etc. They now curate your search to only send you towards things that they want you to see, and they know full well the things they don't want you to see. One of the things that we joke about all the time is when you try to Google a new topic about something that's like anti-globalist, i.e. Bill Gates being sued by someone overseas, you'll go to search for it, and you get that little warning at the top going, the results on this are changing quickly, like, check if it's from a reliable source, and blah, blah. In other words, what they're trying to do is stall to find out from the globalist overlords whether or not you're allowed to see that information or not, and they'll make that decision in the back end.
I just can't shake this. I didn't know until you showed me this. I had seen that clip of that girl saying that. I didn't realize that Albo had used that on his Twitter account. If that's not the definition of misinformation, I don't know what is. He literally says parents, teachers, and students are backing in our social media ban for under 16. And the picture they used, take another picture, cut her out of the picture, right?
Get a different student.
Hey, can we swap her out? Can we get there's thousands of people can we just get someone else that agrees with it? He didn't give a fuck.
No.
And, like, if that's not and you just got schooled by a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old. She's just said, we're going to get around it.
Yep.
And I'm going to say it to your face, and everyone's going to see it because you're going to use my image on your fucking website, you idiot.
He's just Streisand affected his whole bullshittery. Now, here's the other part of it, too, that people do not take into consideration. Kids are going to get around this social media ban. And what are they going to do, Alex? They are going to congregate in dark parts of the internet, out of sight and out of mind from any sort of supervision. So they're going to find different chat platforms to play in that are outside of this ban. Do you know who else is going to find that? The predators. And parents are going to be thinking, oh, I don't even need to monitor my child's online behaviour anymore because the government's keeping them safe. So they're actually going to be more disengaged now as well. This is going to make the problem worse, not better.
I actually think the conversations that I'd had with parents about this prior was they were happy that someone else was doing the job that they weren't doing.
Yeah, because they're cowards.
So, but I was shocked, and I had lunch with someone, and he's like, "Dude, I'm stoked that I can now just tell my kids that the government say it's illegal, so you just can't do it." Like, but don't you have, like, surely you monitor their online stuff? Like, he's like, no. Like, I just have to ask them and have to trust them. Well, no, surely
no, you don't.
There's got to be an app out there, or like if you have their YouTube account attached to yours, then you can go and check the history to keep an eye on things that they're doing. You can look at search history. Mm-hmm. I'm not a parent, but if I had a kid that was on the internet, there's certain measures in place that I would at least monitor passively what they're seeing, so that I could maybe have a conversation with, not to block it, but to say, hey, you know that thing that you saw on the internet, let's talk about it. You know?
Well, okay, I'll give you my personal anecdotal experience. I had the YouTube app on my TV, and we watched stuff on YouTube all the time. The boys would, as soon as Nate figured out how to use the remote, he would start watching stuff on YouTube, and at the beginning it was normal stuff. It was kids shows, it was Paw Patrol, whatever, normal stuff. But the only time they ever watched stuff on YouTube was on the main TV in the lounge room when I was present, because I wanted to monitor what they were watching. And then over time, because of the algorithms, because the kids are into Pokemon, it started devolving into like shitty Pokemon card pulling videos. Right, so where people buy like a booster pack and they pull it to see if they can get a card that's worth any money, which I actually hate that element of things too, because the commodification of something that should just be done for the love of the game. Anyway, it was at that point where I was like, yeah, you're not watching YouTube anymore because this is bullshit. And I went through the exercise of explaining to the kids why they're not watching it, why it's not good for them, and when I caught them, because I gave them enough rope to hang themselves, right? They went back to watching the normal stuff. But then if I would leave the room and I would come back and the wrong thing would be on, then I put the parental lock on YouTube. And I said, hey, you obviously are not at a level of maturity yet where you can be trusted to watch just what I want you to watch. Now, here's the thing, parents. Ever since I put that parental lock on YouTube, it took like 2 weeks. The kids don't even ask me to put YouTube on anymore. Yeah, they get over it. They move past it. And do you know, like, all that I did was monitor what they were doing, explain to them the things that they should do and they shouldn't do, gave them the opportunity to do the right thing, and when they didn't, then I removed it, because I'm the parent. That's my fucking job.
Yeah.
Albanese wasn't driving Nate around at 2 a.m. in the morning in the first year he was alive when he was a shit sleeper and he wouldn't go back to sleep. Albanese's not come over here and changed any fucking nappies, right? It's not their job to parent my kids. It's my job. And I'm telling you, there will be a lot of people who are listening to this show now who are parents. It is your fucking job to raise your kids. It's your job.
Do you want your kids raised by someone that spends $99,999,000 too much on a website? Do you want your kids raised by someone who's actively trying to cancel peace dealings in Ukraine, Russia?
Yep. Sending billions of dollars of your money to inflame a war that Trump is trying to end?
Do you want your kids raised by a government that introduces policies or tries to introduce policies to tax every man, woman, and child on unrealized gains in the future?
Yep.
Like, if you answered yes, like, give them up. Like, put your kids in foster care, man. You're like, that's an F. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Like, and again, this is the thing that we talk about on the show all the time, and it is so much more relevant when it comes to children. You have to take personal responsibility for your shit.
Yeah.
If you expect your life to be handed to you on a silver platter, you expect your bills to be paid by government subsidies, you expect the fucking childcare centres or the teachers at school to have the important discussions with your children about things like the birds and the bees, like, why do anything? You're not an adult.
Yeah.
You're supposed to grow up and become an adult who takes responsibility for your own behaviours and for your own children.
That's that whole guardrail thing that we were talking about the other day. Like, we're the safety net. Like, we are becoming a society that's using the safety net as a hammock to sleep in, so that we don't have to take any responsibility. And we're trying to implement system after system after system after system to do the driving for us. And it's destined to fail. That attitude is destined to fail.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast with Adam Carolla the other day, and he made a really interesting point, which I think not enough people actually think about. And it is that as we have moved into the new age of technological advancement, so many manual tasks have been outsourced to technology. So things that previously human beings did, like a lot of building stuff, a lot of manufacturing stuff we actually have to work with your hands, a lot of farming stuff, instead of it being a human being doing those things, we've now replaced those human beings with robots, technology, farm equipment, etc. And the big key thing about those particular tasks is that there is an element of danger involved with those tasks. So I'll give you an example from my own personal experience. I'm a gardener. I run a gardening business. I occasionally use my chainsaw to cut down trees on clients' properties. Nothing big, nothing really, hectic, but a chainsaw is a very deadly weapon. It's a very dangerous tool. If you don't hold it properly, if you don't put the lock on it whilst you're moving yourself around and you accidentally pull the trigger and it goes off, you could cut your leg off, you could cut your arm off. So I have a relationship with danger, which the vast majority of the laptop class do not have. Every time I have to use that piece of equipment, there is a trade-off that goes on in my mind where you go, I know this thing is dangerous, but if I focus on, I do the right things and I'm careful, the payoff from doing the task is better than the potential danger. So I have a relationship with danger. It is why I'm not averse to any form of danger. But now we've got generation upon generation of people who've come through, and instead of doing a trade, they've been told to go to university. So they go from school where there's no danger because everything's guardrails. You can't touch each other. The teachers take care of everything.
Can't climb trees.
Yep, can't do anything anymore. So they've gone through that. Then they go to university, and we know what universities are like these days. Words of violence, right? That's what universities are teaching people. So not only do you not even have the basic danger of holding a hammer and trying to hammer a nail in and hitting your finger with it and learning from that experience, but to make matters even worse, we've replaced things that were never normally dangerous, which was language, and now we say that those things are dangerous. So we've made these kids even more risk-averse. And then they get out of those institutions and they go and get jobs where they work behind a laptop every day. And these are the people that during COVID were the ones who were cheering on all the COVID protocols because they all had jobs. They were all staying home, working on their laptop every day.
I heard people say, I loved it. I loved COVID lockdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they were kept safe. They were still able to earn an income. And there was no risk to them. But you've got to remember, during COVID, who are the people that were put at risk? people who started to go on building sites, people who had to deliver vital services like fucking doctors and nurses and shit, who during a pandemic, before the vaccines, were still made to go to work to care for all of us. So those people had a relationship with risk that the vast majority of people in our society do not have anymore. And that's a real problem.
Like I keep saying, though, what movies do you watch, what books do you read, where the hero of the story is completely risk averse? Like imagine, okay, all right. Most people have seen the movie The Matrix.
Yep.
Imagine when Morpheus rings Neo, he's like, follow the white rabbit, and he's like, nah.
Yeah, nah.
The movie's over.
Yeah.
The movie's over.
But think about every like, we talk about The Matrix all the time, but like Harry Potter. Harry Potter was one of the biggest stories ever. Like, we came up in a generation when the Harry Potter books were originally written. And, like, there were lineups for the next book release. And can you imagine if Harry Potter just followed the rules every time? There would be no fucking Harry Potter. Like, that whole story is about a young kid who, yes, he's got these, like, magical gifts and whatever, but he quite often gets himself wrapped up in things that are dangerous or things that he shouldn't have done. And he deliberately doesn't follow authority figures' orders to go and do these things, and he saves the day at the end of the series. And it's I
literally had to say to someone only last weekend, because this guy made me so sad. He's a younger guy. We're talking about some of the hot topics.
Yep.
COVID came up, and he just had every excuse under the sun why his stance was correct.
Right.
Completely devoid of reality.
Yeah.
And then he used because it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me, so, like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, oh, okay, so losing 40% of your buying power in 5 years, that hasn't affected you?
Yeah.
And he just blank look, hadn't even considered it. And I said, do you not also think about, like, what your fellow man
think about other people
goes through? Like, and I'm the first person to be selfish. Like, be selfish, get your shit together, get good, so that you can help others.
Mm-hmm.
But you're now saying that you don't care because it doesn't directly affect you, and so what you're also saying is that you don't give a fuck what happens to other people.
Yeah, that's right.
And the reason I said, I can tell you're getting uncomfortable by this conversation, so I'll stop. But I know that in the future, if you look at the world through a slightly different style of like, if you view it in a different way, you'll remember this conversation in the future.
Yep.
And I want you to be the hero of your own movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you can choose now to give up, but just know, and look, you'll be right, as in everything you said, all these dangerous things that you think could have happened to you if you stuck your neck out, you'll avoid, but overall you will lose.
Mm-hmm.
You will lose. The system is designed to fuck you.
Yeah, and like you gotta say to those young people, I'm sure that young person wants to buy a house and is lamenting the fact that the housing market is so ridiculously expensive that they feel like they're probably going to be locked out of the housing market forever. That's a direct result of what happened during COVID. It's a direct result.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I bought my house 7-8 years ago for half of what it's probably worth now. In 7 or 8 years. And it's not because I've done all these improvements to the house. I ain't done shit. It's because we printed 100% more money from 2019 to 2024, which was directly because of COVID policy.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can't buy a house today, and the fact that even some of you who own houses, who might want to move closer to work, for example, the fact that you even have to second guess that now because you're like, oh fuck, like the costs are so high, stamp duty is so ridiculous, even just the basics of getting a removalist, like everything's so expensive now. That's a direct result of government policy.
Why does the government get 15 grand more in stamp duty revenue on the average house in 5 years?
Well, in fairness to the government, because they created the profit.
Right?
Right. But, government policy created the asset inflation. So
I saw a hilarious meme today that will help us transition to the next topic, which was, it's never too late to start being the hero, because Genghis Khan was 44 when he united all the tribes on the steppe and took over half the world.
Yep.
At age 44. So you can definitely pull your finger out now. And I'll tell you, it is definitely harder to have your neck out like we do, but it's way more fulfilling.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have truth on your side.
Yep.
And think about every parable. Every story talks about the being of the higher moral standing.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing more moral than the truth.
Yeah, and like you have to think too that, you know, everyone says, like, when you're on your deathbed and you look back at your life, are you gonna have regrets, or are you gonna say, you know what, I lived on my terms and I did the right thing? And like that dad I was talking to at the kindy the other day, one of the things that he said which really stuck with me was he was so anti all of it, but then he resisted as long as he could, but he was the sole provider of their family. He had just had a child, and mandates came in for his industry, and he's like, I had to get the vaccine. He goes, I only got one, but I had to get the vaccine to be able to provide for my family, and he goes, I will regret that for the rest of my life. And he hasn't had any of the negative health effects either.
Dude, the guy that I was talking to got 5 vaccines, got injured by one of them, and still says, I follow the science.
Yeah, like, it's just wild to me that people allow themselves to live that way. But again, I understand it to a degree, because we talk about this all the time. This is all just manipulation, and it is manipulating our base human instincts. And the base human instinct is to stay as a member of the tribe, because if you get ostracized, you'll be putting yourself in danger. And
I have to show this clip. I think I've showed this clip before. It's from the movie Troy. I think about it all the time. I love it.
Are the stories about you true? They say your mother is an immortal goddess. They say you can't be killed.
I wouldn't be bothering with the shield then, would I?
Fuck, he's hot.
He's the biggest man I've ever seen. I wouldn't want to fight him.
That's why no one will remember your name.
Now pause it there before we get copyright struck.
Like that other post that I
sent me a reel the other day, and it was so good. And
it hit me so hard. It was when God wanted to make David a king, he didn't give him a crown. He gave him Goliath.
Correct.
And like and this is what was happening in that movie Troy. He's having to fight this monster, and this kid's like, I fear that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking, I'd love to get T-shirts made. If there was any message that I would like to portray to the world besides buy Bitcoin, it would be like, fear not.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the problems that we have, and a lot of the things that we raise here, and a lot of the pushback that we get, is out of people's fear on particular subjects.
Yeah.
And the common thread through all of it is you only fear what you don't understand.
Yeah, that's right.
So when you go, if you say, okay, I'm scared of that thing, well, how about I put some focus and energy into that thing, and then I won't be scared anymore?
Yep.
Well, why don't use that with all things in life? If you fear something, it's probably an irrational fear. We have a lizard brain. The amygdala does that to us. Like, we know that it's there. Well, if you knew that, well, you can do something about it.
Yeah.
So if you fear it, go, is this fear based on reality? No. Okay, now that I know that about myself, how about I go and look into this topic to allay my fears?
Yep.
Fear not. There is nothing to be scared of.
And that's the thing too, is that is a neural pathway that you have to work on. So, like, just to throw the scenario out there. If something comes along that scares you, even if it's a small thing, and you avoid that thing, you are more likely to avoid the next thing that scares you too.
Totally.
And the next thing. And
Dude,
the next thing. And
the top comment on that clip, in the credits section, it reads as Messenger Boy. So Achilles was right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move into because we're running out of time. Let's move into...
Cool. I just want to finish this point though. if you continuously avoid things that scare you, and if you continuously just go with the crowd on everything, and we've said on the show a million times before, if you do the same thing that everyone else does, the vast majority of people in Western countries are fat, depressed, on anti-anxiety medication, and broke. If that's the way you want to live, do what everyone else is doing. If you want to live well, do the opposite, even if it scares you. And what you will find, and I have this conversation with my kids all the time, if something scares you, just do it. And then once you do it, you'll realise it was never that scary in the first place.
Seneca, the obstacle is the path.
Cool. All right, let's move on. So let's talk about the Champagne Socialists. So this is one of the things where I repeatedly say on the show until people will actually get the picture. I think the entire political class is completely corrupt and fucked, and they're all pigs just trying to eat out of the trough. The reason why I resent leftist politicians the most, though, is because they're the ones who pretend they care about the poor and the downtrodden and the minorities. They use those people for their own political ends. And then when they get power, they A, use authoritarian means to keep power, i.e. social media censorship and bans and etc. And B, they then just enjoy the fruits. And because they are bureaucratically inclined, as far as they're concerned, if it's within the rules, then it's okay. And isn't it great that when you write the rules, you can just make it all within the rules?
Well, those rules are pretty sweet.
Absolutely. So, let's go to Annika Wells. Annika Wells is the communications minister who has largely been the one pushing for the social media ban, spruiking it for government, and she's become quite newsworthy this week because of all of her expenditures that she's been paying for using your dollars. Now, I pulled this clip up. This is from a few years ago. This was when Annika Wells was in opposition and was talking about expenditure from the Liberal Party, if you'd like to play it.
Publicly defined parameters of their own policy, business could spend up to $20,000 of Elizabeth's own taxpayer funds to attend something like, for example, the Super Bowl, to lather themselves in buffalo wings and baby back ribs nodding along to Kendrick Lamar, all subsidised by the Australian taxpayer. Mr. Speaker, this is just another reason why those opposite are not like us. They're not like us. Coalition
Oh, I hadn't seen that. I'm going to defend it. You keep lighting up because I'll defend it.
Okay. So that was her opinion when she was in opposition. And Annika Wells has been in the news this week because she spent $100,000 of taxpayer money to do her trip to the US to spruik their social media ban, as if that should have, like, why are we spruiking this overseas? Why aren't we just doing it at home?
Also, what country did she spruik it to?
The US.
And US has got, what's the first
The First Amendment
is freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech, yep.
So she's gone to the only country that has freedom of speech enshrined as their First Amendment in their constitution to say, hey, we've taken away the freedom of speech. Huzzah!
Yep, and
Huzzah!
that's also the country that all these social media platforms are located in. So she spent $100,000 of your money to go over there.
And on that $100,000, the makeup was like $35,000 for flights.
Yeah.
Each way. Also, I find it ironic that a communications minister uses the oldest form of communicating, which is face-to-face.
Yeah, rock up. Yeah.
Instead of a Zoom call or a Brave chat like what we're using.
Yeah, and even just to harp on that for a little bit too. So this Labor government, because it's not just her, it's all of them, and like I said, the Liberals are the same as well. However, the key distinction is the Labor government is the party that has been pushing net zero ad nauseum, talking about how CO2 is the devil. And yet, their politicians are quite happy to jump on fucking jets and fly all around the world to talk about different policies when it could just be done over Brave talk.
I believe her speech was 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Can I
just tell you the most egregious spending?
I was about to say the most egregious. You tell me what you thought the most egregious one was.
So she's been called out twice now, where when she was the sports minister, she attended two different sporting events. I believe one was the Australian Open tennis, and one was, I think it was the Ashes, potentially.
Yep.
And she paid $1,000 on one occasion and $1,200 on the other occasion to have her driver sit in the car and wait for her to finish the event.
Yeah,
that's taxpayer money.
Not just from the financial point. But how degrading is that for the person that, like, your job is sit and stay like a good boy and wait for me in a car? Uber would have been $60.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I understand, I think you said it last week, like, politicians, you know, they have some security, I guess, because everyone fucking hates them because they're doing such a bad job. So maybe if you want some security, you might want your driver, and I know some of them have ministerial cars, but you can't get him to come back. He can't go and do some other things. Like, he can't go pick up some other people in that time. No,
Can you let the ministerial car go and do some Uber to make some money for the taxpayer while he's waiting?
Yeah, I found that the egregious one. The one that I found not egregious at all was like the lining a trip up with a party that she wanted to go to. I was okay with it. I didn't care. I was like, yeah, if you can make it move, if you can make it work, and you can include that in the run, I'm actually.
It depends whether or not those meetings were actually necessary. If you've created meetings just to have a justification for the taxpayer to fund you to fly to Melbourne for your friend's 40th birthday, that doesn't pass the pub test.
Well, let me defend her. I'll defend her by saying this. It's not just her. It's every single touch point within the government, all democratic governments, 100% of them all take the piss. They write the rules to benefit themselves. They've got this stupid family inclusion thing where they get these allowances to get their families.
Have you heard about Senator Hanson-Young from the Greens?
No.
Okay, so what you're talking about, they call it the reunion benefit or something like that. And that's something that a lot of mainstream media is actually, especially Sky News, has been harping on about since this all came out, because these politicians are trying to pretend that their time with their family is more important than your time with your family. FIFO workers, doctors, nurses who do shift work, who never see their husbands.
Hey, childcare. Like, the fact that we've built a society that requires double incomes to survive. Yeah.
So, Senator Hanson-Young from the Greens has actually been caught up in that reunion benefit too, because 78 times she has claimed that benefit to fly her husband into Canberra. Her husband is a professional lobbyist. He is there to lobby government ministers for money. That's his job. But she has claimed the reunion benefit to fly him to work every day.
Now, this is where I'm going to defend. Double dipping, 100%. Because that's what this system does. The entire parliamentary system is a pig trough, like Jason said before, for these guys to get fat and wealthy.
Yep.
It's not exclusive to Australia. It's every democratic and probably some non-democratic systems as well exploit they don't have to exploit the systems. They make the system suit them.
Correct.
They don't care about you. They don't give a fuck. And like you said, and I agree with you, the leftists are supposed to be the party of the people.
It's their advertising campaign.
Yet their actions are the exact opposite of that.
Which is why we call them champagne socialists. And that's the thing too. So we always talk about how much these people get paid. What I've started to realise is what they get paid pales in comparison to what they're able to spend as part of their job. So
it's funny you say that, because I saw someone, I think it might have even been an ABC article, and they're like, this definitely doesn't pass the pub test, and, do you know what we should really do? And I was like, there's got to be a catch. There's no way the ABC's on my side on this. There's no way. And then, here it comes. Yeah, we should get rid of the benefits and just pay them more. That was the solution. What? That's better.
I would actually cop that. I'd cop that. Because Albanese, for example, and look, as the Prime Minister, I'm not going to pretend for a second that the Prime Minister should not be flying around the world to meet with other world leaders and stuff. Sure. That's the job. Yep. I get that.
Yep.
But I think the Prime Minister gets paid about roughly $500,000 a year, about $500,000 a year.
It's low. It's too low.
It's very low.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you should pay the PM more than that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, in one quarter, Albo spent almost $1 million in expenses. And that's travel, accommodation, drivers, etc., etc., etc. That's one quarter. So, in other words...
But Jason, that's only 1/10 the cost of a website.
Yeah.
But no, this is my greater point is, these little things, they want us to fight about the $100,000. They want us to fight about the $1,000. They want us to fight about, but it's every aspect of their being. So this thing I can't stop thinking about. Did you know government agencies are not allowed to have tea and coffee served because it's a waste of money?
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to have tea and coffee at an office. Every office in the world. Go to the friggin' my detailers down on the road here that clean cars for a living. They have tea and coffee set up for their workers, right?
So during COVID, there was cutbacks on tea and coffee in the hospitals because they were trying to cut budgets.
And
I want the fucking doctors and nurses to have caffeine in their system.
But it's so oxymoronic to go and say, oh, we can't do that. That's too much money.
It's too costly.
100 million here, million there, 100 grand. But we are covering on mainstream media, on alternate media, we are covering 0.0000001% of the raws.
Yeah.
And whose labour is converted into these raws? Ours.
Yeah, all of ours.
We are the ones that are working for it. So don't get pissed off at Annika Wells. She's a product of this whole system.
Yeah.
The system, people are as loyal as their options.
Yep.
Her option is to change the rules to make... She doesn't give a fuck. It's actually made... I got this strange attraction to her going through all this because she's being such a bitch about it.
Don't worry,
She's
the audience could tell as soon as you said you were going to defend her.
she's like, oh, I did everything right. She doesn't give a fuck. She doesn't care. Oh, I'm really conscious of that stuff when I'm spending $35,000 on flights when, you can get that same flight for fucking $5,000. Spending $1,000 at dinner. She's so delusional.
Oh yeah, did we mention that bit? That when she flew to Paris for an Olympic engagement, she spent €1,000 in one night at a dinner with her, another staffer, and some other lobbyist. And there was like 500 and something on food, and then about another 500 on drinks.
I'll let her off on this because I got rinsed in Paris too. When I went to Paris, I went to, there's these people having these nice sandwiches at this lunch spot. Beautiful spot. I think I could see the Eiffel Tower from where it was. And I sat down and got this menu and like, dude, there's like no sandwiches on this menu. Ordered something, and I'm pretty sure our bill, and this was like 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, our bill for lunch was like €180.
Yeah.
And no drinks, no bill.
So you know what should have happened in this scenario? When she realised the bill was that excessive, she should have paid for it out of her $200,000 salary. She shouldn't have rinsed the taxpayer for €1,000.
It's exactly the same. I got
dinner.
this argument with you during COVID when these businesses like Harvey Norman and Qantas were taking all this money, knowing that they were actually unaffected by it. If anything, they got their businesses booming.
Yeah, well, Qantas also got $2.3 billion, didn't they? From the government.
No, they got.
That's on top of the JobKeeper stuff.
They got $2.1 billion, and then they recorded a profit of $2.3 billion.
That's right. Yeah.
But I was like, no, those are the rules. The rules were written, and then it's contingent on a good business to utilize the rules to the best, on behalf of the stakeholders. Okay, and they did that. That's exactly what these people are doing. They are using the rules that are laid out that they get to make. So where I want you to direct your anger is the whole parliamentary system.
Yeah.
And the whole system is a honeypot for them, not for you.
We're
going to keep paying for it.
Which is why you just have to vote for One Nation. One Nation are the only party who are talking about reforming any of this stuff.
One Nation's the only one that's got real solutions. So another thing I was thinking about too is when you have these conversations with people and they hate the idea of Pauline Hanson and blah, 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 you can tell, all of these people are still upset about Annika Wells spending all this money on these things. But, they're not willing... would you have a little bit more racism in political policy if it was going to fix some of the spending stuff? I would.
Oath.
Right? But they're not willing to make that equation. No, keep rinsing me, but at least I know that you're not racist.
Can I just say that, because that's a cultural thing for me as well. And the key point of this that Alex has said a few times is that the political class does not care about you. They don't give a shit. They don't care that things don't pass the pub test because they know you are so dumb, you're going to vote for him again anyway. Because they're going to come out and they're going to go, won't somebody think of the children? We think of the children. And then, enough of you are going to go, oh, they think of the children. Okay, I'll vote for them again. I'll give them another go. They don't give a shit about you. And, like the immigration thing, the fact is, we have got 2.9 million temporary visa holders in Australia at the moment. 2.9 million. That is more than 10% of the whole population in temporary visa holders in this country, in a cost of living crisis, a cost of housing crisis, and a lot of this stuff is down to basic supply and demand. If the government cared about you, they wouldn't be calling you a racist for pointing that fact out. But they are. They're literally telling you, we're bringing in more of these people because we need them, because we as a government would rather bring in people from various countries around the world to fill a few different holes instead of investing in our own people and their education to fill those holes themselves. Like, the majority of these politicians that are in government have free university degrees because the country invested in them. And then they got these free degrees, and then they've rid of them into politics. And now they're writing
rules. Now they get free everything.
Yeah, now they're getting free everything. Meanwhile, they're saying, we don't have enough skilled people to fill these certain sectors, so we're going to bring in people from overseas to fill those sectors instead of investing in our own people and giving them free education.
Jason. Even if all 2.9 million of these temporary visa holders were builders, where would they live?
Yeah, exactly. Can I give you an example of One Nation policy which is actually going to
Should we look at them? Should we bring them up?
Yeah, you can bring them up. But there was a policy that I was hearing about during the week, which, again, when you're talking about trying to help the average family, this is a policy that would actually help. Have you heard about her policy, Pauline's policy, to change the way that joint incomes are taxed?
No.
I can't remember what she's calling it, but essentially...
Family tax policy?
That's probably it. So, actually, click on it. We'll go into it and we'll read it. So we can zoom in a little bit. So, family tax policy. Joint income tax filing allows a couple with at least one dependent child to add their income together, then split the total between them. This will encourage parents to look after their own children and reduce the cost to government of childcare, especially preschool. It will also encourage homeschooling. Example A. If we have a couple with children and one person earns $120,000 and the other nothing, then the family under income tax splitting would be $9,533 a year better off, because income tax on 120 grand is 29,467.
Oh, interesting.
But income tax on two incomes of 60 grand is only 19,934. So just in layman's terms, all they're doing is they're taking both of your incomes, joining them together, and then splitting them in half. Which is the reality for most working families, right?
Well, that's how the actual transactions work in the real world.
Exactly. So like in my family, my wife is the primary breadwinner. She works the big job. I run my own business, and I mainly take care of the child pickups, drop-offs. I've got a flexible business so that when they get sick, I can drop everything. So this sort of policy would directly benefit me and make it easier for us to afford to take care of our own kids.
So the interesting thing that they said there, that I know this comes up a lot. So it says, this will encourage parents to look after their own children and reduce the cost of the government childcare. So I use the childcare subsidy as a great example. Whenever I suggest that we should get rid of it, people lose their minds because there are often a lot of people are using it. But if you remove the government funding, it is an imperative that I guarantee it'll sound contradictory, but I guarantee that this is the case. If there was no government money for childcare would become cheaper and higher quality, and will have the exact amount of childcare available.
Correct.
Now, that is natural supply and demand. What is unnatural supply and demand is when governments get involved and they prop up certain... So I showed that graph last week. Anything the government touches, the price over time is on a race to infinity. Everything that governments are out of, that have no influence over, through innovation, the free capital market, goes down is on a race to zero.
Yep.
In 100 years' time, 80-inch TVs will be free.
Yep.
Okay.
And on that childcare subsidy thing too, something that you may not be aware of because you've never actually had to use it, it is based on a percentage. It is a percentage subsidy, depending on your income. So what that means is...
Yeah.
When the childcare so government, I've experienced this many, many times. Government comes out and announces they're going to increase the level of the subsidy. A week later, we get an email from our childcare centre. Hey, we reviewed things and unfortunately we are going to have to increase our prices. So then they increase the prices. Now, if you have a subsidy of 70%, for example, and the childcare centre is only charging $100 a day, that means the cost to the government is $70 per day for that child. If the childcare centre then increases the price to $200 a day, the percentage stays the same, but the cost to the government doubles to $140 a day. Yeah. That's what we're experiencing in real time. And Alex is right. If you pulled that subsidy money out, overnight, in the first 24 hours, people would freak out.
Yep.
But over time, childcare would turn into the TV business, like Alex talked about last week.
And like their example there, will you care that you don't get the subsidy when you're getting 10 grand left in your pocket of what you earned per year more, and the price of the thing that was being subsidised before comes down?
Yeah, no, because you're
better off.
You'll be better off, and the bottom line for the government will be better off too, which means they'll then have more money that they're able to go and spend on hospitals or...
No. Everyone does what you just did. And this is what... Coming into Christmas, when you're at the dinner table, this is what we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of redirecting money savings, okay? So everyone automatically does this. They equivocate saving here, let's spend there, okay? What I want the conversation to be is save money here, keep money here. Save money here, keep money here, and then the person that earned the money gets to deploy the capital where they see fit.
Yeah.
Because I would also argue, and I can give you, again, people's brains melt, Dubai does not have public health.
Yeah, or a welfare system.
It's a paid-for system. Their costs are less than ours,
correct,
and their standard of care is higher than ours because of the exact same reason that childcare is. And we've all seen it before. Like, America's the worst layer because they're saying it's a free market, but it's not.
It's not.
This strange insurance rort that happens and co-payment and half this and half that. And there's been a guy that goes on to Rogan all the time, and he's a pharmacist, and he's talking about they're trained to ask, who's your insurance provider?
Yeah.
When you're trying to buy a drug. You're not allowed to say, hey, this thing you could have for $10 if you had no insurance. Because you have insurance, your co-payment is $500, and we're going to charge your insurance company $5,000. Okay? It sounds insane. That's the reality.
Did you hear there's actually some hospitals that are starting to push back against this now?
Yeah.
Where they're because the thing is, they don't charge the insurance company the $5,000. It looks like they do on paper. The insurance company pretends they paid the $5,000, but they only pay the hospital the $700 that the procedure actually cost in the first place.
Yeah, it's this fugazi. It's
a giant rule.
Fugazi.
Yeah. But it was created by government policy.
100%. And I would also argue too, I don't think anyone... So people often get medical procedures that in Australia we wouldn't think of medical procedures. But let me make an example. Botox.
Yep.
People go get Botox all the time, and they're more than happy to pay retail price for that because it represents value to them, and it's $400 or whatever it is, $400. Your GP would get paid, like, if you paid $30 for a 15-minute consult or $50 for a 15-minute consult and the doctor got to keep it all, it's a pretty good business model. Right? But for some reason, we've been tricked into thinking, let's take a clip off everyone's tax and let's artificially inflate this industry, this industry, this industry, and then as a byproduct of that, systematically we have this obsession with regulating it. And even going back to the expenditure thing, the government spending on entitlements, Albo's best excuse was, no, I don't make any of these rules. There's an independent body that happens to get paid by government. There's an independent and selected by government. There's an independent body. They decide these things. Now, that guy who heads that department up has some of the highest expenses in the whole fucking
and
thing.
is appointed by government.
And is appointed by government. So, like, you must think we're absolutely retarded.
Well, we are.
As
a society, we are retarded.
As a society, we are.
Yeah.
But anything truly free market runs better, cheaper, higher quality. And I know it scares people. You look at America as the example. Stop looking at America as the health example.
Yeah.
America's not the health example. Look at Dubai. Look at Switzerland. Look at there is countless other non-socialized healthcare systems in the world that exist that are better than ours for cheaper.
Yeah, totally agree.
And also, you wouldn't care as much if you kept your tax money.
Yeah.
If you got, because in my world, there's no income tax, because income tax is a fine on productivity.
Yep.
We would never fine productivity, right? The fact that we have a progressive tax system is bananas.
It's insane.
The more you earn, the higher percentage of that you should pay is psycho.
Yeah, the more you produce, the harder you work, the more you have to pay.
We put a sin tax on fuel, alcohol, and cigarettes. Why? Because we want less people to do it. Yet we do the same thing with labour, which means we want less people to work.
Correct.
Okay,
and it's working.
It's working. Yeah, 100%. It's working. So if you had, if you earn $100,000, you're going to pay 30 something grand in tax. If you had $30,000 more in your pocket, would you care that you were out of pocket for the next medical procedure that you had to get?
No.
Is there not now also an incentive now to maybe make some smarter choices about your health? Or now you have the ability, for example, to buy better foods or get that gym membership or even buy some of your time back so that you're not so stressed at a job that you don't really like as much because you get to keep what's yours. There's so many byproducts, and there is no world where this rorted in a utopian world, it makes sense to think, so if we were all angels sent from heaven to pay into this group system to help the needy, it sounds beautiful. But we know what it is in practice, and it's far from it. It's done by corrupt humans that will corrupt endlessly.
Yeah. And
when the money, when you don't have to earn it, but you get to spend it, your attitude towards it will change. I'm going to write a book one day. And the book, one of the chapters in the book is going to be about essentially the 4 states of money.
Yep.
So $1 that you earn versus $1 that you've won versus 3 states of money versus $1 that's been given to you to spend.
Mm-hmm.
Which one's worth more? Which one's going to get more attention on the expense side? It's the money you earned.
Yeah,
the money you earned. You know what when... I think I've told this story before. I'm not a gambler. And I remember the moment where I was like, I don't want to gamble anymore. I was taking Mum and her girlfriends out to the casino. It was her birthday.
Right.
And Mum asked me to hold her bag while she went and got a drink or something. And I was at the chocolate wheel, and I put $100 down on the table, and maybe 15 other people kind of did the same thing, various different notes on the table. And the croupier got like this plastic paddle, scraped the money up, and jammed it into a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And then I was selling brand new cars at the time, and at the time the base commission on a car was $100. And then I thought about the last deal that I did. It took me 6 hours to close this customer. And then plus the time of delivery and follow-up and all that. So call it 15 hours worth of labour for that $100, and I was like, that's not a fair trade. It's not a fair trade for me to put that 100 down, for the croupier to dump it into a box, and it's gone.
Yep.
Now, when you've won at the casino, what do? Shout a round of drinks, next thing's on me. So that dollar that you've spent doesn't have the same buying power as a dollar for you personally, because you're gifting it to people.
There's even a term for it. People say they're playing with house money once they get ahead. But
exactly, right?
The money is money. It's
money.
Real money.
It's the same money. It's the same dollar. Okay. Now the lowest form is money that was given to you on the proviso, on the understanding that you have to spend it.
Yeah.
How flippant are you going to be with that?
Yeah, of course.
And this shows they don't give a fuck, and it's not their fault. This is why I'm defending them. It's not their fault. It's the entire system that we are accepting because we think it's the only way things can get done.
Yeah.
But that's not. There are countries out, and I know we talk about resources taxes a lot, and there's a big, big names out there. Punters Politics is out there really, really banging the drum. And he's right. We should get higher taxation on our resources.
Yep.
But I'm not willing to have that conversation until we fix the gaping hole in our parliamentary system, because for every dollar that you put in that, you're going to lose 3.
That's right. Now,
So
I have to wrap this up,
fix
so I have
that
to go
first.
and pick the kids up. So just to finish this off, I agree with everything that you just said. And when it comes to our political class, I'm going to leave you with a famous quote from the George Orwell novel Animal Farm. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. We will see you all next week.
Well said. Bit of Orwell. Love it.
Laters.